So in this video, we'll be covering jinwoo scaling. So we don't have to see comments like this that clearly know nothing about the verse. So you'll see comments like he's galaxy, he's universal, etc., without knowing any knowledge on the verse. So let's hop into this. So you have this statement whenever they first introduced the absolute being. We'll first introduce, it was the only introduction, but it goes over how there's no such thing as infinite power because there's being stronger than him, like the rulers and monarchs. Now what does this mean? Well, if you're using that to upscale jinwoo, as there's no such thing as infinite power, it gets contradicted later in the story, like here and here. Contrary to belief, the people that have actually scaled the verse and think they know the verse, the land of eternal rest was not a place created by the absolute being. It was created by, you'll never guess, Ashbourne, which later jinwoo took control over aeons later. It wasn't directly stated that it was infinite in size at first, so it's more than likely that jinwoo expanded the size at the end of the novel and the side stories. As we know, the universe involves temporality and spatial existence. Now, this would all qualify for Uni Plus because it's infinite power on a four-dimensional scale. But you may be asking, why would this apply to fourth dimensionality? Well, the absolute being doesn't have infinite power. It gets later stated by jinwoo that he has infinite power facing the people like the monarchs and rulers. And the rulers already fought the absolute being and killed him, and then proceeded to fight the monarchs for aeons. So you have beings that have four-dimensional AP on at least a multi-galaxy to universal scale, and then fighting other beings like this. It would qualify for four-dimensionality because it's fighting beings on that same level of attack potency. Now you may be asking, how do you get them past Uni Plus? And to answer that question, we'll go deeper into the cosmology. Monarchs and rulers were born to destroy worlds. What worlds mean in the verse, as shown here. You have the world of eternal rest, that's infinite in size, it would be one universal structure, and then you have the gates that connect two worlds again. That being said, in some aspects of the verse, worlds do mean planets, as explained a few times, but it's also explained that it could be universes. So anytime that a gate is open, which is right here, it connects to different dimensions. You just need to prove which context it is under circumstance. But for the context, it was explaining different worlds like the chaos world, etc., because it existed before the temporal aspect of the universe, because monarch's memories transcend time itself. Yeah. Well, what could all this possibly mean? Well, as we provided, worlds can mean universes. There are different dimensions of the universe, and as we explained, worlds can mean dimensions, universes, etc. So in this one case I'm showing, jinwoo found Earth in another dimension. So we have two different dimensions, as I provided, the chaos world and our current world in another dimension. So you have, well, you technically have three right there. This would qualify for low multi, as they're different dimensions. It would be separate universes. And since the absolute being created all of this, because he created the monarchs and rulers to fight across these different worlds, it would qualify for low multiversal, as explained, since it would be places that he would have created. And since jinwoo is above the absolute being, he would qualify for low multiversal as well. But of course, you can get it higher from this, them fighting for aeons. But aeons could mean multiple things. It could mean them fighting for a very long time, a unit measurement of time, etc. But in this case, I'm going to use it as a unit measurement of time because they've been fighting since the dawn of time. So it'd be coherent. Since their countable measurement of time, as explained or at least shown, is at least a couple billion. The Dragon Emperor opened up countless gates. Gates connect to different dimension worlds, etc. As we just established, that their unit measurement of time is at least aeons in a mathematical sense. It should be able to be quantifiable up to that number. Billions, at least 2 or 3 in a mathematical sense. So they opened up, we'll go for established, a billion different gates. This would qualify for, you'll never guess, multiverse. But let's now go into the low complex scaling for solo leveling. Now, do I think this is consistent? By the end of the novel, arguably, yes. So the chalice affects time as it turns back time, but as an extra to it, it actually affects the spatial aspect, as I explained how it can erase beings that aren't above it, and those are still bounded to the flow of the past. So the anytime it refers to time, it would refer to that four-dimensional level. The land of eternal rest resides in Jinwoo's consciousness. So the idea of consciousness is basically just something that resides in the mind. At least from all the studies and most definitions I could find on the word itself. Yeah. Jinwoo's memories transcend the boundaries of time itself. And as we explained, time itself refers to also that spatial action. So this will qualify for fifth dimensional mentality. Now, I will explain why memories are portrayed to the conscious. Memories are stored from the mind, and you're able to remember information. But this all stimulates from the mind itself. So your mind is above your memories as it makes the memories, but it would go to the same level of existence. And as we established earlier, Jinwoo's land of eternal rest is infinite in size, and as we explained later, like now, it's fifth dimensional. So this would qualify for a low complex. Now, anything higher, well, except for like 6D, although you can argue 7D, I think that anything higher than this would be wanking to the most extreme extent. It's really just not consistent in the verse. That being said, let's go over the speed category next. Since Jinwoo existed in a place that didn't have time, that being the beginning of the universe, well, before the beginning of the universe, this would qualify for inaccessible speed, though it wouldn't qualify for any AP tiering. Now, there are other types of scaling for speed in the verse, which we'll get into. Now, Jinwoo was fighting Antares in the gap between dimensions. Gap between dimensions is where he acquired his abstract form, which his body gushed out infinitely, so he transcends the distance of something infinite or already something infinite inside. You can argue measurable speed from him blitzing monarchs, but it's really just not consistent in the slightest. There's also the FTL feats and him getting much stronger since then, which would qualify for like MFTL to MFTL plus, but I don't feel like finding them scans. So, this is my whole video on scaling Jinwoo. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.